This is what you do. This is how you live with them. Just keep breathing. Just stupidity in, rude out. People doing things that hurts themselves even though they know better. And you let it out. That's what you have to do. You have to joke. You have to breathe. You have to meditate. You have to spend time with your dogs. Here's one. You have to spend time with your dogs. And you have to spend time with your people. And in case you're wondering who your people who your people is. In case you're wondering who your people are, if you are an INFJ, for some other INFJs, I have been feeling so much better, and I've been dealing with my situation so much better since I started getting in touch with other INFJs. It helps so much. It helps so much to talk to someone that you know is actually listening. Same thing if you have found out recently that you or a friend of yours, or maybe you're a kid, this is what happens so often. Most people realize that their kids are an INFJ or an indigo child. These are not actually swip-swappy types of terminology. They are two totally different things. One is a personality type, and you can learn a lot more about that from 16personalities.com, which is a website app that helps you run your life, as according to the Myers-Briggs personality test. The 16 personalities is Myers-Briggs personality test. They're really, really squeezed down, boiled down, extrapolated kind of mini way. So it's not a test, it's a game. It's done in about 5 or 10 minutes. You figure out what your basic personality is. They tell you a little bit about yourself in a really nice way. And then they help you figure out by connecting you with different communities or different job search sites or different dating sites, the sorts of people and the sorts of opportunities and the sorts of classes or jobs that are going to be best for you in order to help you live a easier, much more fun, enjoyable life. So, yes. So, as an indigo child, how does that translate? Well, a lot of times people who are looking for information or videos about indigo children are not indigo children. Why am I getting this wrong? Are not indigo children. They're usually parents. They're trying to figure out what is up with their kid that seems to know so much about everything. What is up with this kid who is so stubborn? What is up with this kid who is so loyal? What is up with this kid who loves all of this stuff that is not in our area, in our part of the world? They're the most atypical people on the planet. They seem to be oddly awake, meaning aware of their surroundings, and most importantly, they seem to be oddly awake and they seem to be so very their kids. The reason why I'm doing this video is both indigo children and INFJ is because they both have so much in common. And if you're an INFJ, you might find learning about these sorts of things, both social catalysts and spiritual, very, very interesting. INFJs usually do. So do indigo children. And I am both an INFJ and an indigo child. So I've had a lot of really, really interesting experiences. And if you want to hear about one of them, I suggest you watch my last video, which I'm going to rename Indigo INFJ experiences, because I don't know if there's a lot of people out there who are both INFJs and indigo children. Miju, do you know? Miju doesn't know. But I know that I'm one of them, and so I want to share that with you guys because it's really, really interesting. She's going to now. So, did I get too close? Couldn't help it. Just couldn't help it. So, I know you too. I know you too. The way that you live with people who are not INFJ, yeah, you said like I'm here, not INFJ or indigo, is with a lot of love. And believe it or not just for them, not just to say to yourself, it is really hard sometimes to do the right thing when all you want is the wrong thing. Not just that, because sometimes that can turn into giving them a free pass. But you have to remember that unless you're their parent, you're not their parent, and they have to figure out stuff for themselves, including even experiencing the fallout from that thing that they chose to do. You can't save them, and you can't help them grow, and you can't choose for them to be awake when they're not. And some people are awake and are choosing to sort of almost like a flower, close it. So in Indian Sign Language, this is mukur. And this is the lotus being open. So some people, they're realizing that they're opening and they're choosing to close back up, because once you know better, and there's no going back. You know that you're doing bullshit if you can read bullshit. If you know this thing that I'm choosing to do right now, yes, this is bullshit, you can't pretend like it's okay. And unfortunately, though, once you start opening up, once you start waking up, you start waking up. And it can be really, really hard as either an indigo child or an INFJ to live with someone who isn't. I'm living with somebody who isn't. And that person chose to go to a major city where COVID-19 hit shore. That particular major city is literally ground zero in the state that we live in. And they chose to go there to go drink and hang out with their friends they haven't seen in a year, less than a year. And their excuse is that they're not worried about possibly coming back here and getting me sick or them sick. They don't take any of that seriously anymore. They believe instead that this is their last chance to see their friends. That is utter bullshit. Their friends travel for work. Their friends are consultants. They are literally made at this point. They're made out of miles. And they like this person, this family member of mine, enough that they will meet up with them again. They wanted to be weak and they wanted to do the thing that would make them feel good. So they went up. Well, the side effects of doing that with living with someone who's extremely loyal and who's serious and who takes responsibility very seriously, it's real. I'm not going to act like it didn't happen. But know this, if you are an INFJ or an indigo child and you're living with only one other person and you're under, a lot of stress from, COVID and all this stuff, being stuck inside the house, not being able to get out or not being able to really interact with other people. It could feel lonely at times. It could feel sad and it could be so stressful. Why is this happening? I try so hard to do the right thing. Why am I stuck with this person who doesn't? Why is it that they're specifically acting out and trying to get me to do the wrong thing too? It's because misery loves company. And besides that, they love someone to sign off on what they're doing. You don't have to sign off on what they're doing in order to not be alone yourself. There is not only the World Wide Web, but there are so many other people out there like you. There's not everyone. It's not all the US, it's not all of China, it's not all of Cambodia, it's not all of anywhere. But 1% of the population is INFJ. And 1% of the population is indigo children. Don't let yourself be alone. You wouldn't let them be alone. If that person who's being a total jackass idiot, going just, crazy, is feeling alone, or you saw them feeling alone and you didn't want them to be alone, you would do different things to facilitate them not being alone. Not just as in you would bake them a pie and you spend time with them, you would call different people. You would probably just mention that so-and-so was feeling a little bit down, or mention that so-and-so mentioned them, sort of help facilitate a connection. You would do that for them. You have to do that for yourself. That person you live with may or may not love you, but they don't know how to love you the way that you would love them. They don't know how to be that loving or that encouraging. It's not natural to them. And they resent living with someone who does because it makes them feel shabby. That's the truth. I'm living with my dad, and living with me makes him feel shabby. It also makes him feel annoyed. He doesn't want to be responsible anymore. He had to do it, and he doesn't want to do it anymore. So he's choosing not to do it. Well, I'm not going to act like it was okay. But if I do different things to give me instant gratification for a moment, they're going to make me unhappy for a lot longer than that moment when I feel gratified. So I'm not going to do that either. I'm not going to say, trying to clean up the language right now. I'm not going to be all like, yeah, whatever. I hope you die. I'm not going to do that kind of stuff. I'm not going to say things that I know specifically would make him feel really bad. And I'm not going to say the different things that he said to me over the past couple of months to remind him and sort of punish him. because in punishing him, I'd be punishing myself much more than him. People who are quote unquote sheeple and people who are more than that, but they're not acting like it right now, they get more joy out of seeing you unhappy or uncomfortable. So if you're doing different things that they already know make you unhappy or uncomfortable, or if you're clearly unhappy, just making them more comfortable. So this all comes back down to you have to, you have to live your best life. So here's my suggestion to you. Don't worry about punishing them. They're going to be punished anyway. They're punishing themselves, and their actions are going to come back around. B, where you would want to punish them, you need to do something good for yourself. If you did something that was the right thing to do, and you know it was the right thing to do, and there's no one around you to say, hey, you know what, that was a decent thing of you. Not necessarily that you want some big, trophy or whatever, but if there's no one around you who's decent to you, or who knows how to be decent to you, or who wants to try and be decent the way that you are, if there's no one also who's interested in the things you're interested in, if there's no one who's intuitive, if basically you don't have that match in your house, I'm not saying that you should block them out, but if you already know that it's also a negative relationship and you do need to do that, don't worry that you're going to be alone, because you're not going to be alone. I'm going to put in the links below this video, the websites and the YouTube channels to other INFJs and other Indigo Children networks. And if you're in either of these two groups, my hope is that you will love yourself as much as you would love the person that you live with if you live with someone who's a non-INFJ, and that you will facilitate those connections the same way that you would work so dedicatedly and diligently to helping that person that you live with, because there's one other person that you live with, and it's you. And you need to love you as much as you would love them. And that's it, honestly. You need to reach out and get connected with other people who understand you. Not so much that you need a support group, but trust me, if you don't know another one, just one INFJ or just one Indigo child or Indigo adult is an entire support group. That's our thing. That's what we need to do anyways. And by being supported, we realize that we're also doing something for that other person, because that other person needs to support people. So it's a very good relationship. You both take care of each other and you're both happy. That's a very natural thing. So I'm going to put in the description lots of links to different videos so you can learn exactly what an Indigo child is and exactly what an INFJ is. I'm not going to put loads of links. I think I'm going to just stick with 4. Just going to stick with 4 links so that you can stay focused. And anyways, you know what? Come with me. It is a nice day outside. And if you have the ability to get outside while wearing a mask, I suggest that you do that. I suggest that even if you don't have anybody to walk with or anybody to talk to, you remember that at the end of this video, you will. And if you ever get lonely, and if you ever need to talk to another INFJ or another Indigo child, you have my channel and you can write in the description below, because I am here for you. And frankly, you know what I've noticed? The people that I have been meeting or drawing into my circle since really talking to the people on my channel have been the right kinds of people. So all that said, use the information in this video to open the door and rediscover your best life. Okay. Bye, guys.